Welcome back to a daily dose with Michael Kimei. Thank you so much for joining us again. Today is the 15th of September, and we are reporting live straight from Miko Cheney. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got some hot trending topics, and I am excited to have you guys on board with us. I am excited. So before we get started, this is broadcasted straight from michaelsfashion.com. Log in, man, subscribe. That is the place to be. We have got all types of services. We've got real estate services. We've got boutique options. We've got everything for you. Please log in. And as we jump straight back to the podcast, today we are talking about France in Africa, why Macron's policies increase drama and anger in West Africa. Man, this is very, very interesting. We have seen a number of coups happening in West Africa, especially in the last 2 years. Or if you're not sure or you don't know, there's a guy by the name of Mohamed Bazoum of Niger's downfall in July 2023, Mali and Chad in April 2021. We've got Burkina Faso in September 2022 and Gabon. So this is a lot of countries. This is over 3 countries alone in the last 3 years that have been going on coups. Many of these have been happening due to new justifications about why France is there. Most of the new leaders have been coming against France, and this is because France has a huge military based somewhere in Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal and Gabon. So France is always creating some sort of impact in these countries. And that's why you see most of these presidents, they are all trying to create a new relationship. Macron has been put forward as Macron, or should I say Macron, the president of France, has put forward entrepreneurship as best form of development assistance, a way to pivot personal relationships with African leaders. This is something that Europe has been trying to maintain. This is something they've always tried to put in first, trying to avoid political leaders having influence or creating relationships, beneficial relationships with African leaders in order to avoid corruption, etc. This approach, of course, ends up bringing a lot of different factors like capitalism, deregulation, and a lot of government spending. And so when they try to do this, this is what happens. And they're hoping this is where they're reducing any risks. But honestly speaking, it does not work. If anything, it creates a big influence. It creates a big number of people receiving a lot of money, and then there's no spreading of funds in the country. This is also happening in other countries, even in East Africa. Conclusion, we need presidents that want to remake the economic and financial infrastructure. Leaders like Macron, pushing for entrepreneurship as development assistance, which is definitely not the best way forward, as it brings different lobbying and influences, and people end up doing things for their own benefit. So this is a fact and a big issue that we're discussing. And before we take the next break, we'll be discussing about how NMB Bank shines as one of the top banks in Tanzania and in East Africa, as we look at the list of the top banks in Africa. Thank you for tuning in, and welcome back. Welcome back to a daily dose with Michael Kimei. Thank you so much for tuning back in. Log in to www.michaelsfashion.com. That's where you find these podcasts. You can find us on every other platform, iTunes, whatever it is. Welcome back, and we're jumping straight to the main topics. Today we are talking about the top 6 companies in Africa that are performing revenue-wise. The first one is Safaricom, $5 billion. This is a communication company that's based in Kenya. Amazing company. It's been there for the last 20 years, and they're still going strong. I love it. Second is a Mauritius commercial bank. That's $1.7 billion. I know in Mauritius, it's almost like a safe haven. I know there's a lot of different taxes and different policies that allow a lot of businessmen to put their money there. So that's why I think this bank is doing the most on the list. And the third one is TBL, which is a Tanzanian firm. This is a breweries company. It definitely produces one of the best beers in Africa. It's the third spot. And the fourth spot is MTN Uganda. Honestly speaking, I thought probably Vodacom would be here, or another company that's in Kenya, but it seems in Uganda, there's a lot of communication happening there. MTN is doing the most. And in Uganda, it comes on the fourth place, and the fifth place is Kenya Equity Bank. This is another bank that's in Kenya, and that is doing very, very well. I know Kenya is almost like an East African also base. I know the UN is based there, so a lot of funding and financing goes through there. So shout out to Kenya Equity Bank. And we close off with a Tanzanian bank. Welcome back. NMB has managed to join on the top 6 list. It comes in and it seems to have grown. Its revenues is substantially high in the last 5 years. So congratulations. And we jump straight back into the sports section. Today we're going to be talking about Rwanda have signed an agreement with FC Bayern Munich as a partnership with African Scores Big. This is good news. This is something great. This is going to bring in a lot of scouting. It's going to bring in a lot of good sports athletes coming from the East African countries and in Rwanda. In this agreement that they've done, the economic benefits, Rwanda's tourism growth will definitely grow up to 17%. They've made sure the revenues, whatever that they receive from this partnership, will be reinvested into the communities. This is amazing. They will build more fields for kids to be able to play. They'll start creating little institutions and training centers. This is amazing for Rwanda. And again, it will start to invent local players. And of course, too, they have a local talent show that will be coming with this partnership that will allow most of the sports players that are picked from different places in Africa to be able to attend in Barcelona and to play in the youth's final league. So this is a good platform, and I think I wanted to share with us on this podcast so we can also get an idea and how we can partner with all these big companies that are playing or that have invested in football. This is a great news for Rwanda, and we're closing our podcast on that. But I also want to talk about another important matter. If you didn't know, that the JWTZ have decided to start a new campaign to return the army wear back to their headquarters. This has been amazing. It's been very funny. I've seen a video on YouTube where we see one of the musicians, they're returning their jerseys, and it's amazing. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And if you didn't know why it is illegal to wear any Navy or Army wear in Tanzania, it's not allowed. And if you manage to go on YouTube to Google it, it will explain to you further. But it was so funny. I wanted to share it with you. Have a look at that and see how the Navy welcomes the celebrity in returning back their wear. Remember, this is a very, very big news because we've been experienced that a lot of people have been beaten or have been even tortured for having these clothes. So now the Navy the Army is creating a good communication to allow people to return them. This is good news. I also did some research as to how people are receiving these wares. I thought it was coming from them, or maybe people who have retired, or people who have been given, they give their clothes to their family. But no, most of these army wares are coming from shipping containers, from mitumbas that are coming from around the world, and they're entering here, and people are buying them like clothes. People are not buying them knowing that it's illegal. People are buying and receiving it as clothes, as merchants, and then now we have to return them there. So I don't think the army should be giving people breakfast for returning, but maybe they should be giving them their money back. So we're going to close it on that, and thank you so much for joining us. And this is a Daily Dose with Michael Kimei, closing it off. Thank you.